happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely gonna want to check this one out. So we got that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz under fire after the FBI just revealed new evidence that links him to the tragic passing of two lawmakers in his state, guys. And I'm excited to get into this one, so we're gonna hop straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
A multi-county search effort is currently underway right now for the suspect behind two shootings targeting two DFL lawmakers and their spouses. The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to 57-year-old Vance Belter's arrest and conviction.
Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were killed in their Brooklyn Park home overnight. And before that, in Champlin, Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette were shot and seriously hurt. And authorities are now at connected scenes all over in Brooklyn Park, Champlin, Green Isle in Sibley County, and most recently in Minneapolis.
We have team coverage tonight with all the latest information on this breaking situation. But first, let's head to Kirsten Swanson, who's live outside of the suspect's rented home in Minneapolis along Fremont Avenue North. Kirsten, what's the latest you've learned?
Yeah, well, this is one of the latest scenes that police swarmed to here during this ongoing manhunt for Lance Belter. This is the home that Vance Belter was living in. He rented a room here from his friend David Carlson. Now, David tells us that he has known Belter since they were kids. They grew up in Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. He last communicated with him last night, but woke up this morning just after 6 a.m. to a pair of alarming text messages that prompted Carlson to call police. Now, that set in motion a chaotic scene early this afternoon when police and a SWAT team came to the home with a search warrant. Due to the ongoing nature of this incident, David said that they came in unannounced. They knocked the door down. They took the front window out near the bedroom that Vance was staying in. David, of course, is very disturbed by what's transpired and, of course, disturbed by what was in those text messages. When we spoke to him a little while ago, he described what was in those messages. Listen.
He made some choices and, you know, he was planning some things that we didn't know about.
Is what he said.
And then that he might be dead soon or be gone for a long time.
And David said law enforcement confiscated some files from Belter's room and also towed away his car that was parked here at the home. He said that they didn't take any weapons, as it appears there weren't any in the house when police arrived this afternoon. Carlson has not heard from Belter today, and he told us very emotionally that while no one will believe him when he says this, he had no idea that Belter was capable of doing something like this. His heart goes out to the lawmakers' families, of course. We're on the scene here. Police have stopped by a couple of times, but at this point things are calm. They've looked for Belter and was unable to locate him here at this hour.
All right, you guys, so this is a huge developing story, actually been getting nationwide attention and media coverage. We got Karen Scullin here of Fox 9 tweeting out saying the Minnesota Representative Hortman and her husband have unfortunately passed away in the shooting at their home. And then the Minnesota Senator Hoffman and his wife were also shot, but they survived. The suspect is not in custody, and the state patrol are asking people not to attend the No Kings events after flyers were found in the suspect's fake squad police car. Wow. Okay, and there was also a manifesto found in the suspect's car with a list of lawmakers, unclear who was on it. Was over 70 folks that were actually on this list, this manifesto, and they're asking people not to answer the door for police unless there are two or more officers at the door. Suspect is likely dressed as a cop. Wow, this one really just takes me away, this entire story. Showing up in the middle of the night, dressed as a fake police officer. to attack these lawmakers. Wow. And this is one that's really sad, especially when we were warned about these protests that were no good from the beginning. All throughout last week, that's what I was seeing on social media posts, trying to get the attention out there and spread people that these No Kings protests might not be the right way to go.
Hi, I'm Gio Benitez. We're following that breaking news out of Minnesota right now. 2 state lawmakers shot in what Governor Tim Walz says were targeted incidents. Walz is speaking right now. Let's listen in.
Park Police Chief Snyder and Brooklyn Park Police Chief Mark Bruley, as well as the mayor of Brooklyn Park. We're here today because an unspeakable tragedy has unfolded in Minnesota. My good friend and colleague, Speaker Melissa Hortman, and her husband Mark were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination. Our state lost a great leader, and I lost a dearest of friends. Speaker Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service. She was a formidable public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota. She woke up every day determined to make this state a better place. She is irreplaceable, and we've been missed by so many. Minnesota's thoughts and prayers are with her family, her loved ones, her children, and her parents. My prayers also go out to State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were each shot multiple times. The Hoffmans are out of surgery at this time and receiving care, and we are cautiously optimistic they will survive this assassination attempt. This was an act of targeted political violence. Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy. We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint.
So that was that governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, with a message following those tragic events. And of course, President Donald Trump weighed in on Truth Social. He posted and said, "I've been briefed on the terrible shooting that took place in Minnesota, which appears to be a targeted attack against state lawmakers. Our Attorney General Pam Bondi and the FBI are investigating the situation, and they will be prosecuting anyone involved to the fullest extent of the law. Such horrific violence will not be tolerated in the United States of America. God bless the great people of Minnesota, a truly great place." And this just reminds me of what Elon Musk said, his message not too long ago.
Something must stop the cycle of reciprocal violence. Something must stop it, or it will, it'll never stop. Just eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, limb for a limb, life for a life. Forever and ever.
And then we've got Nick Sorta here on X with some very key details on Representative Melissa Hortman and her behavior leading up to that terrible day. He says, "Holy crap, Representative Melissa Hortman sounded absolutely terrified while speaking to the media after she voted no on health care for illegals. She knew she'd end up as a target in one form or another."
I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision. I know that people will be hurt.
And she almost seems like she's ready to come to tears behind this vote. She voted against her constituents in the Democratic Party. They would love health care for illegal migrants, but she just could not go against the grain on that when she says she just doesn't believe in it. So she votes no. And then her reaction it says 1,000 words. You can just tell by her face and her emotion that there is more behind that decision than what she's leading us to believe. And then another very interesting piece tweeted out from Dinesh D'Souza. We see the No Kings flyers, or a bunch of papers with No Kings on it, inside of the shooter's car, the said suspect. And it's kind of leading us to believe that there is some sort of connection here. We got Michael Hustis here on X tweeting out, "Extreme liberal activists are now assassinating Democratic politicians who dare vote with their conscience instead of their affiliation after their fellow elected Democrat called them traitors to the Democratic Party. This is modern day liberalism." So as we can see, they went against, or Melissa went against her party. She went against her affiliation and went with her conscience, her gut feeling, and she paid for it in the worst way.
Are there reasons to believe that these events were also targeted by the person in the manifesto in the car?
We don't have any direct links. However, there were some flyers that said "No Kings." within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a No Kings event.
And so the reference materials that were inside of the vehicle that we saw, we have no understanding that any of the No Kings events would be targeted, but we also find it of interest to the public that these would be in there, and we want to alert everybody until we do that. Because this is such an active investigation with information not knowing right now, we feel it's an obligation to all of you and the public across the state of Minnesota to alert you of it, and that's why the Colonel made the notation of recommending people don't go today. But the individuals are not in custody yet, and so we want to make sure as that very active manhunt is underway and continues, that we make sure that we're sharing that, and that's part of why we're making the recommendation. As to that investigation and the list, we are working through that now and talking to individuals, and we'll continue to. What I would say with the list is there's a large number of people. That's all I can say about it. We will work through all of that, what the motivations of this are, and we'll provide that as you can. This is really a public safety announcement for everybody so that we can make sure people are informed and make safe decisions throughout the day.
So we see that No Kings flyers were on the seat of the said gunman, but there's some other details that are making me a little bit suspicious of Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. We got Morgana here on X tweeting out saying the criminal identified as Vance Bolter, an appointee of Governor Tim Walz, seems Democrats need to vet people better. So we can see it right here. He was appointed by Governor Tim Walz. Because of the special trust and confidence I have in your integrity, judgment, and ability, I have appointed and commissioned you to have and hold the office of a business member, Governor's Workforce Development Board, Vance Bolter. And this is coming straight from the desk of Governor Tim Walz. You got another ex-user, Julio Rosas, tweeting out breaking news update saying, I'm told by a police source in Minnesota, the suspect and the shootings of Minnesota state lawmakers is a Vance Luther Bolter. It appears it is the same Bolter who was appointed to Governor's Workforce Development Board in 2019 by Governor Tim Walz. He appointed to Governor's Workforce Development Council in 2016 by then Governor Mark Dayton. Okay, so Bolter has worked very closely with Governor Tim Walz. Interesting. I definitely believe there should be a full-scale investigation, not only into the crimes itself, but actually Tim Walz, and to see if he had any type of affiliation with this, since he worked so closely with said gunman. Then we got the police warning public to stay away from the No Kings Trump protest after the shootings in Minnesota. And I can't say I blame them. You're seeing this said gunman inside of his car. There was a manifesto. There was the No Kings riot papers on there. I just don't think it was a good idea. It doesn't sound safe. And we've been warning folks since the get-go, even early last week, that these No Kings Trump protests were probably not going to be anything good, and warning against violence. We also had the Minnesota State Patrol tweeting out saying, given the target shootings of state lawmakers overnight, we're asking the public not to attend today's planned demonstrations across Minnesota out of abundance of caution. And we can see right here the papers drawn about on the passenger seat. I'm just so suspicious of this. It's just all too, put together. You telling me this guy planned this all out, orchestrated, he committed these heinous crimes, and then he left the No Kings papers on his seat alongside a manifesto with a list of lawmakers. I think it was like 70 plus lawmakers. The investigation has to be very deep into this guy. We can't just say, okay, that's it, that's the end, we got the guy. Once we do end up catching Vance Bolter, because he's still on the loose. But I think they need to do a deep dive into his motive and who put him up to it, if anyone did. Then we got Paul Sperry here on X with some more interesting details, saying the suspect's wife, who helped run their security firm, appears to have worked as an intern for former Representative Tim Walz in 2010. So now we're linking Bolter's wife, in addition to him being appointed by Governor Tim Walz. I mean, this is all coming and connecting. All signs are pointing that Tim Walz, and there definitely needs to be a very thorough, full-scale investigation into the corruption and maybe crime of Mr. Tim Walz. Then we got even more details. This one coming from CNN, posted just yesterday, on how the police found the suspects at the Hortman's home. It says that the police were responding to a shooting at Democratic State Senator John Hoffman's home around 2 a.m. when officers went to check on State Representative Melissa Hortman, who lived about 9 miles away, at around 3:35 a.m. As they arrived at her home, they encountered the suspect, 57-year-old Vance Bolter, dressed like a police officer. As he came out of the house, he exchanged gunfire with the police before escaping on foot, leaving behind what appeared to be a police car at the scene. Police found writings in the vehicle that included a hit list with nearly 70 names. Those named are mostly Democratic politicians or figures with ties to abortion rights, including Minnesota lawmaker Representative Ilhan Omar, Senator Tina Smith. Bolter also had survival gear inside the vehicle, and Bolter is still at large. Shelter in place was implemented in Brooklyn Park but lifted later on Saturday after authorities said they believed he was no longer in the area. Investigators are looking into whether he wore a latex face mask during the shootings, a law enforcement official told CNN. So there is so much going on in this one. Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness. Talk about a bizarre story. This thing has been crazy from the beginning. There's still so many pieces I feel like are missing, including the suspect who's still at large, somehow escaping after that gunfire exchange with the police into the darkness like he was Batman or some figure. And then Tim Walz is drawing a lot of questions, concerns, trying to figure out how he is affiliated, Governor Tim Walz, with Vance Bolter, said to have appointed him back in 2016. Would love to get more details out of Tim Walz as to what he knew about the suspect and how they were so closely related. This is definitely one that I will continue to bring you more information as news breaks, but as of right now, we're on day 2 with little information on the reasoning behind what just happened, guys. You definitely have to hop in the comment section. Maybe you guys know more than me. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next week.